All right, so 7 o'clock, 7:01. We can go ahead and get started. Let's start off with the roll call. Ward 1 Commissioner Young.
Present.
Ward 2 Commissioner Armache.
Present.
Ward 3 Commissioner Wheatley is present. Ward 4 Commissioner Givens.
Present.
At large Commissioner Uri.
Commissioner Uri is present.
All righty. So we are all present and accounted for. First thing is approval of the minutes and financials for November. Is there a discussion? Any edits? Questions?
Yes, this is Commissioner Uri. I just wanted to make sure, I know we had a more detailed discussion about the tot lot and the RFP and redoing it, but was that in the work session or was that at last town hall meeting? Because I know we discussed it in detail.
Commissioner Uri, I would have to check. I don't have my notes in front of me and I really don't recall. Are you concerned that it wasn't as in-depth in the minutes as you had remembered?
Yeah, in the minutes, it only goes through that we wanted a more detailed deadline on, when the funds need to be applied for the grant, but that's it. And I know we had a lot of conversation on it, so I just wanted to make sure it's present.
Okay. I can go back and listen to make sure we get that in more detail for you.
Thank you so much.
Can I just short comment?
Sorry, could I, this is Commissioner Armache, could I just respond to what was just said? I'm just noticing that it did say in the minutes before that Commissioner Wheatley had brought up that the minutes for the previous town hall meeting was too lengthy, too detailed, maybe not necessary. And so I don't know if that's why the commentary about the playground was not as detailed, but just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, it should be mentioned even a little bit though, that, we were withdrawing the RFP, that's very important. And that we are resubmitting it for another timeline and that we are taking new bids.
I had another short comment. This is Commissioner Young. On the facilities rental license application, at the end of the minutes on that, it says the commissioners discussed the rental fees, specifically the rental fee for non-resident, $150 for employees and residents. But I thought we had set a particular fee for non-residents, but I don't see that there. That's under old business.
Okay, I can make sure we get that in there.
Okay. That's all I noticed.
Any questions on the financials before we approve the minutes and the financials? Hearing no further questions or comments on the minutes or the financials, are we ready to take the vote?
We don't have financials to go over, do we? I mean,
no, there were no
that.
financials because as you'll recall, the new treasurer just came on in the middle of November, and the team has been working very diligently with the auditors to get the audit finished by the end of the year. And they were also working with me and the chief on several grant applications and tax revenue, the tax differential requests that was going to be discussed later on. So they have not had an opportunity to get your financials to you.
That's okay.
They
Yeah,
they are working on
ahead.
it and doing the reconciliations that were not done by the previous treasurer. So by next month, you all will have a full set of financials.
I thought you had
Okay, no,
emailed
I was
us
just
that,
confused.
I'm confused too, because I thought in one of the emails you said you had told us that they weren't able to do everything, but they would have something to us. So you're
I
saying they
thought-
weren't able to get anything to us at all?
No, they were not able to get anything to you at all, just because of the demands that have been placed on them by the auditors. You know, we thought back in October that the audit was nearly finished, but once they came on board, there has been a litany almost every day of a request of something by the auditors.
Okay, well, that's fine. Like Ann said, if they weren't able to get to it, that's fine. But I think that should have been pointed out sooner than tonight. I just assumed that we had something because your email said we would have something. So to hear that we have absolutely nothing, I think that should have been pointed out a little bit sooner. Even if it was just a quick email to say, unfortunately, there will be no financials for this month's meeting. That'd have been fine, but to not have anything and not tell us, and only to find out tonight during the meeting.
I
I
apologize.
don't think that was, I think that was inappropriate, but okay, we can go on. So if we just have the minutes to approve tonight, then we'll just approve the minutes unless there's further discussion. If there's no further discussion, we can move on to make the motion. And it doesn't sound
I
like
move
there's.
we approve.
Commissioner Young, are you
I
making
move-
the motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I move we approve the minutes from November,
there-
the November town hall.
With the edits that were requested?
Right, with the edits.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gibbs, aye.
Yuri,
Aye.
aye.
I agree, aye. So I see next we have public comments.
Can I just say one more thing before we go to that? It sounds like that you've got a lot to do, Consuelo, with the financials to sort of make up for past problems. But it does look like the new person or people are doing a pretty good job.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's good. Thank you. Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Okay, again, let's move on. On our agenda next is public comments. So we will give 3 minutes per person to speak. If you have something to say, please announce yourself. And if you are a resident, please provide your address for the minutes. So I will give you a few seconds to come off of mute.
Testified that Epstein abused her for years during massage sessions that began when she was just 14 years old. She said she went to the Palm Beach estate over 100 times.
Can someone please mute yourself if you're not speaking?
$600 for
And not Commissioner, Miss Barbara, can you please make Commissioner Armache and myself a host?
Was that someone wanting to speak, or I couldn't tell?
I couldn't tell. It sounds like their television was on.
Oh,
Okay, I see we have someone from Delegate Fennell's office inside the meeting. Would you like to speak? I'm not quite sure who it is. It just says the office of Delegate Fennell.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Gloria Albright. I'm from Delegate Fennell's office. And I'll be listening tonight.
Good evening, Ms. Albright. Do you have anything to share with us tonight from the delegate's office?
Just the fact that on the 18th, we're doing a drive. The information should have gotten out to everyone, I think. If not, I'll make sure everyone gets it. But that's the only thing I have to share.
I'm sorry, your voice broke up during the time you were speaking. I didn't hear what you said. What's happening on the 18th?
A toy drive. I'll put the information out for you guys in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other public comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on. Next on our agenda tonight is old business, which is the resolution for the MAA with Brentwood. I believe we need to take a vote on that.
Yes, ma'am. You have in front of you the agreement that is the actual MAA, and you also have the resolution authorizing the signing of the MAA. So you all will need to take a vote on the resolution. I'll bring that up now.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion tonight in regards to this MAA with Brentwood? I know we went into great detail the last time we were together.
I
But if
would only,
there's- Yes, Mr. Best.
yes, Madam Chair, I would, and good evening, commissioners and townspeople, and staff, and I'm wondering, it had gone, last I heard it had gone to, I guess, the Brentwood Town Attorney, which is a fellow named Jason. I'm sorry, had it gone through any changes? Were there any edits or changes? I guess I would direct that to Consuela.
No, not that I'm aware of. It did not come back with any changes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we take the vote? Hearing none. I believe we have to take the vote next. So the vote is on resolution 2021-08. I'll read the title. A resolution of the Cottage City Commission approving a police mutual aid agreement with the town of Brentwood.
I just had one quick question.
Yes,
This is
Commissioner
Commissioner
Young.
Young. On the MOU, it seems like, Kevin, were you gonna look at that? I mean, I don't have any opposition to it at all. I just was, it seems like, I thought that our lawyer was gonna look at these, but
Yes, I did look at it. I did had some very significant changes to it. It was sent back to the chief and Consuela, who then sent it apparently on to my colleague at Brentwood, which it sounds like there were no changes. I'm a little surprised there wasn't one change whatsoever, but
so you're
I'll live
saying,
with
wait a
that.
minute, you saying You're saying you suggested changes, but the changes were not made, or were your changes made?
No, I edited the document and I changed it with a number of changes and said, well, this is what we can live with. Let's see what the town attorney Brentwood now says. And according to Consuela, I guess there was no remarks or there were no changes to what I had marked up.
So the mutual aid agreement that we now have is what you sent to them and they agreed to.
I think so.
It's attached to the minute, to the schedule for the meeting tonight.
Miss Barbara, our chief, can one of you please answer Commissioner Young's question?
So what was on the website that was available to you all in the public is the version that Kevin sent with the changes that is before you now.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes,
I want to verify that they will accept our changes, but can we vote tonight that if they accept the changes as is, we move forward? If not, can we table it to next month? Because I'm not sure if the changes have been approved, what Mr. Best sent to him. I haven't heard anything back from Brentwood, and I'd like to hear back first. Be confirmed.
That sounds like
Well, now I'm
okay, so
completely
when
confused.
when was this document sent to Brentwood?
I don't remember, ma'am. I just know Mr. Best made the changes. But like I said, I want to verify that they did receive it and that they made the changes.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just trying to get a timeline. I want to know when the changes were made and when were they sent to Brentwood?
Changes were made last month. Mr. Best sent it back to myself last month. I sent it to the town manager with the changes that Mr. Best, well, I guess Mr. Best sent to both of us at the same time. I'm not sure.
Who sent it to Brentwood? Who sent it to Brentwood?
I didn't send it to Brentwood, so I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if Brentwood received it, because if the town manager was assuming that I was going to do it, I was assuming that she was going to do it. So I'd rather check and make sure it was done. I apologize for that. I mean, we had a lot of things going on this month, but I will go ahead and make sure that they received it and they set the changes that Mr. Best requested.
Again, that's fine, but I still would like an answer to my question. When was it sent to Brentwood and who sent it?
I didn't send it, ma'am. So
I believe that we have miscommunication, and that we both believe that the other one was sending it, so I don't think it was sent.
Okay, so that's the problem. It was never sent. And so we don't know if they agreed to the changes that Mr. Best made. And so now we have to wait to find out if they agreed to these changes. Also, were the changes sent to the commission? Because I didn't know Mr. Best made any changes. And what changes did he make?
The marked up version was not sent to you all, but what you have is the final version that was sent by Mr. Best.
That's fine, but again, I would like to see what changes were made.
Okay,
Is
well, we
that-
can
is
send the
that a
marked up
problem?
version to you then. We can send the marked up version to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, great. I don't know if everybody else wants to see it, but I would like to see it. So I don't know. You don't have to send it to
I'd like
everyone.
to see it too.
Okay, so me and Commissioner Young would like to see it. Would anyone else like to see what changes were made by Mr. Best?
Yeah, I can
Yes,
take a minute.
please.
We could just send it to the
Yeah, so
entire
just send it
commission.
to the whole body so we all can see. If you could maybe highlight the changes or mark them so we'll know which changes were made. And then
Yeah,
send
it's
it
a marked
to,
up version. You can see it very easily.
okay, and then send it over to Brentwood. And then let us know what their response is. So I don't think we should take the vote tonight unless you guys want to go ahead and take it.
No, I'd rather we wait.
I
Okay.
recommend you not, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
let's
they might
wait.
make some other changes to it. So let's just wait. I'll make sure that I send over tomorrow myself and send over
Okay.
to the chief and have chief send over to the attorney.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's
Okay.
probably my fault. Like I said, we had.
No, it's nobody's, we're
Yeah.
not pointing fingers or trying to blame anyone. I was just trying to figure out what happened. So
Right.
now that we know, we can move on. Let's move on to the next item.
Right.
So next on our agenda tonight is new business, which is the emergency ordinance 2021-01, which I'm believing is going to be for ARPA. And let me get it open to make sure.
Yeah,
This
it is ARPA.
Yeah, it's the budget amendment for the ARPA funds. So again, this is something that we need to vote on. Hopefully we can vote on it tonight. Mr. Barber, do you want to explain that to the public so they'll know what we're doing?
Sure. So what you have before you is an emergency ordinance that is appropriating the ARPA funds that we received in July, that was received after the budget was approved in June. So those funds need to be added into the budget. They are of a significant nature, so that's why we're doing it in a budget amendment. It is the $574,995, which is the first tranche or half of the funds that we will receive. The other half will be received in 2022, probably in June or July of 2022. We will know and have foreknowledge that those funds will be coming, so we can include them in the 2023 fiscal year budget. We did not know that they were coming at the time that we were doing the FY22 budget, and so that's why they weren't included. There was not a definitive number. There was an estimated number, but we didn't put in an estimated number because we were not sure what those funds would be. So this is what you have in front of you tonight. After you all approve it, a fair summary will go out in the paper next week per the ordinance, to let the public know that they can come by and look at the ordinance if they so choose.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission? Any comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Best?
obviously I'm not from the commission, but when I wrote this, actually Consuela and I wrote it together. I wrote it as best I could, and then most of the numbers in the table that you see on the second page was filled in by Consuela. But when I wrote this, I had researched your website, and where you were talking about working with the citizenry to get input in to expend these federal monies. It talked about a first and second tranche, that you had gotten the first tranche in July, and then you were expecting the second one in August or September, something like that. So that's why when you look at the table on page 2, you see ARPA grant fund first and second tranches. Now, what I just heard from Consuela, you've only received the first tranche, and you won't receive the second until this next coming calendar year. That seems a clarification over what I read on your website, and I don't want the table to be misleading. It says first and second tranches for ARPA grant fund, and it does show 574,000. You might want to strike. Well, I see you're doing that, so there you go. Enough said. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the commission? Any discussion?
What did Kevin suggest we strike? I missed that, the word.
I use the word tranche, and so if you see in the table, you could see Consuela's cursor moving as she corrected. It had said in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sixth box down on the left in the table, it had said ARPA grant fund first and second tranche. I see Consuela's now changed that to just first tranche, which is in keeping with what she just explained a few minutes ago. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the change. Let me just ask
Yes.
another quick question. Are we gonna need to do another one of these for the second one?
Yes, if it occurs within this present FY, you will have to do another budget ordinance, either a regular
Okay.
ordinance or an emergency ordinance. All right,
Okay, or if the timing's right, we just include it in next year's budget, right?
exactly. If you're in the budget cycle and it's gonna be reflected in the, I guess it's FY 23 budget, you would put it in there, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Best. We already know the amount that we're getting, correct? The full amount? So why aren't we including, I know we haven't received the second amount, but why aren't we including the amount now?
I will defer that to the town manager.
Ms. Barber, can you answer that question?
Yes, I would say that the reason in my mind that we are not including it is because we won't be expending any of those funds because we have not received those funds, the second amount. And so to include it in this budget amendment is a little bit, in my opinion, jumping the gun because you haven't received them, nor do you know exactly when you will receive them.
Okay, that's fine. I was just asking. But we do know the amount. We just don't know when.
Correct.
Miss Barber,
Yes, ma'am.
do we have a line for like the projected amount?
What do you mean I'm lying?
So I'm looking at the table in which you're projecting, and it's showing what we've received, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to include like what the projected total is, just so, you know, when we, just to have it there so that we know that it's coming at some point and that we have a space for it?
That's kind of basically what I just asked Danielle, and she just explained why she's not suggesting that we do that right now. That's literally what I just asked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We just asked it in a different way.
Well, I'd just interject that, you operate accounting wise under a modified accrual basis. So if you feel rather assured that you're going to get the money, you have the freedom to go ahead and put that in the budget. But if you want to wait until a more certain date or certain timing for it, you can do another change later. So it's really a matter of discretion for you. Remember, the budget is a planning document. It's not written in stone.
Thank you, Mr. Best. And that's kind of why I asked, to me, it makes more sense to have the amount there, since it is an amount that's kind of granted to us or promised to us, just to keep track of our funds that way. And then, we can make note that it's the projected amount.
Commissioner Givens, to be heard.
Yes, Commissioner Gibbons.
Okay, so I agree with Ms. Barber. And the reason why you need to consider agreeing with Ms. Barber is in the event that you do not get the money, then you have to go back and make another budget amendment because you got to take that back out. So let's not do any other work, extra work that we don't necessarily have to do. Like she said, getting ahead of ourselves. If we do happen to get the money within this budget cycle, then we have to do an amendment. But it doesn't make any sense to do an extra amendment now, and then we wind up not getting the money, and then we have to do another amendment to take it back out. So I yield back.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason why I asked the question is basically because of the same thing that Danielle just said. Since we already know there's guaranteed money, why not just go ahead and show it? It could be, like she said, pending or projected, whatever term you want to use. But based on what Ms. Barber just said, and when I asked you, Mr. Best, you said you deferred to Ms. Barber, but now you're saying if we want to do it, we can. So, I just agree with Miss Barbara. Let's just wait. But, if you guys want to go ahead and add it in now, that's fine with me too. But I agree with Miss Barbara and Commissioner Givens.
I also agree.
Yeah, Commissioner Young, I
Let's
believe
just
you
go
just,
ahead.
yeah, that was Ann Young, or was
Right.
that Armiger? No, that was Ann.
That was me, Commissioner Young. And I agree, we should just go forward at this point with what we've got
Yeah.
in
So
front of us.
Commissioner Yuri, are you okay with that?
With that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I wanted to defer with Consuela because her ear is on the railroad track. She's closer to what's happening in the town than I am. And so, but I had read on your website that the two tranches, one had been received and one was planned to be received in August. And I was reading it in November, so I thought maybe it had been received, but if that's not the case, I certainly would defer. But if you have some, like I said, if you have some indication that the monies are forthcoming, you have the discretion to do that. But I think Commissioner Givens is prudent, and I see no problem with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Ms. Barber,
Yes, ma'am.
I know you say we don't know what time the second payment is going to be received, but why does it say August on the website?
August 2022, I believe.
So we do kind of have an idea.
Yeah, I think it's going to be received around August 2022, but I'm not a genie. I don't know exactly for sure.
Okay, so that's
And
a
that would
date.
make it next year. That would make it
That
next
would make
year's
it next,
budget.
yeah, next physical. July 1 would be the next budget cycle. So that August 22 date is not a date that you got from the state. That's just a guesstimate that you put on the website.
I would say, I apologize for my memory, but if I was given that date, that's the date that I put on the website. I don't really draw these conclusions myself. So I believe that it is grounded in some information that I received. However, at this time, I cannot tell you exactly when I received that information or from whom.
Okay, maybe we can change it to tentative,
Sure.
so that way it won't be misleading to folks in case we don't receive it on that date or at that time. All right, so with the change that was made tonight, removing the second trans, are we ready to take the vote on this emergency ordinance, or would you like to discuss it further? Hearing no further discussion, I will read the ordinance into the minutes. So this is emergency ordinance 2021-01, an emergency ordinance of the Cottage City Commission to adopt a budget amendment for the 2021-2022 fiscal year regarding federal ARPA grant funds. Is there a motion to accept this emergency ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Givens,
Aye.
Yuri, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We can move on to the next item. Thank you, everyone. So next is the town manager update, which is the municipal tax differential discussion. Ms. Barbara, would you like to take that one?
Sure. We received a letter from the director of the Office of Management and Budget for Prince George's County. The town receives tax differential because we provide certain services, because we are a municipality from the county. And every year they ask us to fill out a form telling them which services we provide and at what level we provide those services. In the past, the treasurer has filled out those forms. This year it was left to me to fill out those forms based on the information that I had from the previous treasurer and from talking with the staff. I filled out those forms and went back and forth with the staff at OMB to get to the final tax differential request. They sent the letter. I don't know if I can pull up the letter. I had it pulled up, but I don't see it open right now. I apologize. I did send you all the letter so that you could read the letter. Hopefully you had an opportunity to do that. And it was some changes in the tax differential because when Mike had filled it out before, he had put some figures that I was not aware of that he was putting. So short story is we are still receiving more than what we did the previous year. In Public Works, we'll be receiving 80%. In police, we'll be receiving for patrol services 90%. And for community safety, police strategic management will be receiving 100%. So I'm not sure if you all had any questions about the tax differential letter that was sent to you all.
Doesn't sound like there's any questions. Was that the only thing you were reporting out tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. So we can move on to next item, which would be Public Works update. Mr. Pinckney, I believe, will be taking that one. Sidewalk from the townhomes to the park.
Yeah, so Ms. Barber had asked me about the sidewalk from the townhomes to the park. There's an area of right in front of the townhomes that the town owns. And we had reached out to DIR, who's actually doing our sidewalks for the CDBG grant, to see what it would cost to put those sidewalks in. And they got back with us with an estimate of $8,368. And that would take the sidewalk from the existing sidewalk coming out of Parkwood Court straight down to the asphalt pavement that takes you into the trail of the park. It also includes right there at the beginning of Parkwood Court, there is like a little drainage swell that's there. They would have to extend that swell with concrete so that it will bear the strength of the sidewalk coming from the existing sidewalk over to the connection to the asphalt of the park. So that's included in that price, as well as the labor, the equipment, the materials. There's a tree that's there. There's 2 telephone poles that's there. So we came up with 2 different ways that we can do it. We can do it straight across where it'd be grass on both sides, or we can get it closer to the curb where there'll be about maybe 2 or 3 feet of grass on the curb side, and then the rest of the grass will be on the other side, so that we could get it closer over to the curve. But all that would depend on if there's a tree that's there, if the tree would have to come out because of root damage, taking up too many of the roots of that tree, causing it to be a hazard, or if we're able to go around that tree to save that tree. So right now we have a grant for sidewalks. We're doing the repairs to the sidewalks. We're going to check to see if this is something that we can add to it if we have additional funds left over to be able to complete this project. But right now they are about halfway through the town and starting to do cuts on the other half of the town. They'll be pouring out tomorrow. So we still have some room in the amount that we had projected. And then we also have some money that has not been, that wasn't part of the RFP. They came a little under, that we're able to make an amendment to that contract to be able to fulfill the final number of the grant, which we possibly will have to do because of the amount of work that's getting done. But we're just not sure at this moment because we're still kind of like on schedule of hitting the actual 90,000 square feet that we originally talked about. So there may be room for it. We just have to check to see if this this portion of it will go with the grant if we have the funds left over, and if amendment is necessary for CDBG to accept, or is it not going to be acceptable through CDBG? That's the kind of like the final piece that we got to figure out with CDBG. But if not, just to do it on our own, it will be about $8,368.
You said 8,368?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I definitely think it's something we should do just for the safety reasons, because I know I have people coming to me asking about the sidewalk on that side of Bunker Hill to get into the park. Currently now folks have to walk in the street when they come down Bunker Hill to go to the park on that side of the street. So, and I know it's been times when I've come home at night and there's people walking in the street and they literally don't have anywhere else to walk but in the street. So if it's dark and someone has on dark clothes, you might not even see them walking on that side of the street. So it would be better if we did have a sidewalk on that side. And I think if you can get it added to the CBG grant, that'd be great. But if not, I think we should consider spending the funds. Are there any questions or comments, discussion in regards to this item?
Yes,
I
hi.
have
Sorry.
I'm asking for the commissioners first.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's fine. Go ahead, Commissioner Young.
Okay, I attended I was not able to attend the whole thing. Meeting with staff from Senator Cardin's office this morning. And it was about funds that are available from Congress. And one of the categories is construction and rehabilitation of community infrastructure. And I don't know who all got that, but what I'll do after our meeting is send that to everybody, because this might be another source of funds. That's not the only category. The other categories are transportation and dredging, criminal justice and emergency operations, health care services and facilities, vulnerable residents, small business and workforce development, and broadband expansion. So I think this is different than other money that we've gotten. But in any event, I will forward that on and people can look at it and see. Like I say, I missed the whole thing, but I did sit in on part of it. They welcome calling into the office. Jared Hawkins is the person who's a contact there, and I can't remember the name of the guy who was the main speaker, but Mr. Hawkins should be able to direct people to whoever would be able to answer questions if he can't. So anyway, I just want to let you know about that in case that was something new and different that we might make use of.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. I
Oh,
did
the
get
other
that.
guy's name was Mike Thomas. Jared Hawkins and Mike Thomas were the two people.
Yeah,
So I'll
I
forward.
did get the email that you're talking about. I just couldn't attend the meeting. Are there any
Okay.
other comments in regards to this particular item?
Yes, hi, it's Miss Ellis from Cottage City Towers. Good evening, everyone. The question I have is the proposed reconstruction of a sidewalk. The only question I have is that will this addition, will it be accessible for the wheelchair tenants who live in this building?
Yes, any sidewalks that we put in have to be ADA compliant.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thank you very much for your answer, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Greg, I have a quick question, Ms. Whitney. It appears that a good bit of the work is done. Is that you, or is that the agency that's going to be doing the work?
Say it again.
It looks like some of the sidewalks are already done, like a good portion of it. I see something done on like almost every street. Is that you, or is that the company?
That's DIR, the company that we contracted for the CDBG grant.
Okay. So I just took a quick question, a little bit unrelated, but so the white markings that you have on the bricks, are those all of the bricks that you're going to be taking up and redoing, or they're going to be taking up and redoing?
Yeah, so if you see white markings on like the edges of the bricks, that's probably that's where they did the saw cutting to separate those blocks from the blocks that are staying. So when they break them up, they won't break up the blocks that they want to keep. So wherever you see those saw cuttings, those are blocks that are going to come out once they get around to those.
Wonderful. Well, what I see right now, it looks really good. So thank you.
And for that new sidewalk, that is approximately 523 square feet.
For the one on Bunker Hill?
For the one for Parkwood Court to the park.
Yeah, that would be on Bunker Hill.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else from Public Works tonight?
Just an update on the leaves. We are on schedule. We're doing real good with our leaves. Folks are putting the leaves out, and so we're hopefully we can be finished doing everybody's street real good for Christmas. We'll still be doing leaves after that, but for the most part, the bulk of the leaves by Christmas should be gone. Also, the sprinkler systems are going to be winterized on this Friday, so that we won't have nothing freezing or damaging underground because of water, to preserve our sprinkler system. So that'll be done on this Friday.
Okay, thank you.
One more quick question. The speed hump over on Parkwood and at 37th Place, that's going forward.
Yes, the speed hump, we are, I'm still waiting on my quotes to come in for the speed humps so that we can go ahead and get those done, but we are moving forward with the speed humps.
And then also, what about the lights where we need lights? I think one of them was down a little bit lower towards 37th Avenue, but on Parkwood. And there were some other places too.
We're still working
Street
on,
lights.
you talking about the additional lights?
Right.
Yeah, we're still working.
I know
with,
there are some lights that are burnt out, But then there was also some new lights that they were talking about putting in.
Right, we're still working on getting the information on the new LED lights that they're supposed to be putting in. And then also additional poles. We did send in email for the lights that I believe Officer Thompson, he always does a light check for us and send it to me so we can send it in. So we did send that in, and they're getting the maintenance crew on those. There's also some poles, excuse me. There's also some poles on Shepherd Street that we got a complaint from one of the residents that we're trying to get them to come in and take those poles out and put new poles in because they're starting to deteriorate. And it looks like it can cause a hazard, especially during the snowy months and stuff like that, when the wind is blowing hard and things, that those poles may come off. So there's a lot with Pepco right now that we're dealing with when it comes down to lights.
Thank you.
Before we move on from Public Works, just to give you guys an update right now, with working with Commissioner Givens on trying to finalize everything that we need for the completion of the office, the upstairs mezzanine. We're looking to get ready to spend about $2,500 in different items for the flooring, for the painting, for the trimming, all the things that we need to finalize and finish that so that it will be an actual office. I just want to give the commission that update, and then also, I guess, get your blessings on moving forward with spending that money, because it is quite a bit of money. Even though it's different pieces, it's not like one thing that costs $2,500 is different pieces, but I still want you guys to know and be okay with us spending that amount of money.
Commissioner Givens to speak.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, so it's a few things. It's like he says, a few things that's needed, but one of the most important things that we need to consider is the fact of how much money we've saved by doing it ourselves. The fact that, even putting the steps up to the mezzanine was a tremendous savings. Building the office out, and so on. Ultimately, what we need to be able to do is, because we're in a situation now where we're limited, we're up against a space situation, and we need to move Greg from his current location and move him to his new location, because we'll need to utilize that his space right now for our potential grant writer, and of course that still will be shared with the code enforcement as well as commissioner. So we're limited in space, so we kind of need to move that project along. We can't keep dragging it out. And I know it hasn't been your fault, the commission's fault in dragging it out in regards to the releasing of the funds, but I just want to make sure people understand that we just kind of need to go ahead and get it done. The flooring itself, you're looking at about, I think it's like $1,200 or something like to that effect. And then there's other, like I said, there's other amenities along with that. And I don't think that includes right now, because I think we can get away with the AC, the heating and air right now. If we could get away with not doing that, we can revisit that later, because the heat, you only have to heat up a smaller section, so you can run with a space heater for now. But we do have, again, I just want to kind of make sure people understand that we kind of need to move Greg from that office, and as well as move the things that are in the old Public Works building into the new Public Works building, so that we can start to renovate that area for the public use. Previous commission had agreed, and if the new commission wants to change it, that's fine, but they had agreed to utilize that space for class, for teaching aspects coming from the police department, as well as community use of classes and so on and so forth. So I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. Can I ask you a quick question?
No, go ahead.
That room, well, I guess it's a building, right? Is there heat in that building? Not the maintenance building, but the little small one that you guys wanted to use for the class?
There's
No.
nothing there at the moment.
No, but
But
what you can
as
do,
Commissioner Givens said, we're gonna have to renovate that one as well, so we will probably find some sort of unit for that building as well to draw heat or like
and so
air
what is
conditioning.
easy, what is easier to do now, they have the new, the technology has advanced, you know, to the point to where you can put these split systems in. They're called mini split systems, and they have heat and air. So something as small as that area would be fine to utilize in that sense. And they're about, those units run anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. I think 1,000 is just for the AC and up to $1,500 for the heat and AC. And that's a DIY system. So it's something that you don't have to have what's the name installed, the heating and AC guy installed, although and it runs off of 110. So it's a plug and play system. So I yield back.
Okay, thank you.
Could I,
Go ahead,
could I have
Commissioner
a-
Young. Go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to say we might be able to use some of these various funds to do some of those things. And I just wanted to also say, I don't know how many have seen the inside of the new Public Works building, but it really is great. And I guess it was mainly Greg and Demetrius. I don't know who else who worked on those stairs and the mezzanine. It's really gorgeous. So I just wanted to recognize that. And when we get our new person, maybe that person can look into, you know, all these different sources of funds and using it for some of those things. I think it'd be really good to have a building like that available for community activities. I know Miss you're still on, but and I'm terrible with names, but there are some people who are interested in starting up some community activities similar to what we've done in the past. Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Pinckney?
That's it.
Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight is the police department update. Chief, you want to take the speak camera?
Hold on, before you move on, I think what Greg's trying to do is get authorization for to release the funds so that the spending, because Ms. Barber only has authorized up to a certain amount, and his authorization is limited as well. So he just wants to get a commission vote to be able to authorize us to spend the remaining monies that are needed to complete the project.
Commissioner Givens, you want to make that motion?
Yes.
You're a little bit more familiar with the
Yeah.
cost and everything.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we authorize Public Works to utilize up to $2,500 to complete the Public Works office to include the flooring, the trim work, painting of the office in the Public Works building.
Is there a second?
I second, Commissioner Young.
All in favor, say aye.
Point of
Aye.
order,
Yes, Mr. Best.
you're authorizing what now? Are you authorizing a contract or what is the expenditure? I don't know that there's been any competitive bidding, request for proposals. I don't know whether a contract is before you, so I'm not sure if the motion is appropriate.
All right, so let me explain it. So because it's flooring, it's not a contractor that's going to come in and put it in. Greg and I are going to put the flooring in ourselves. So based on looking at the type of flooring and
Material costs.
the material cost, and looking at those factors, it's just basic materials. There's no contractor coming in and putting these items in.
So you're expending money with neither an oral or written contract. And you're spending money without doing any type of competitive bidding as required by your charter, which you very, very well can waive the competitive bidding requirement, and you can use your own staff to do the work. So I guess if the monies are already appropriated, and it's the staff that's doing the work, then it's already appropriated. I'm not even sure why you would need a vote.
Because they can't, Miss Barber is not authorized to spend, like the flooring is, I think the flooring is like, we did it based on the calculation and the amount of flooring that's needed. It exceeds the spending limit that she's authorized without commission approval. And I think that's, is that not $1,000, Miss Barber, I believe?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
So with that said, it was an opportunity for to kind of get this passed so that we can, get everything done and we're not going back and forth on a month to month, with various material projects and what it is, the amounts that can be spent. I think that was really the most.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Commissioner, is that there's going to be someone like Greg go out and buy materials. Those
Right.
materials are going to be purchased from a commercial outlet of some sort.
That's
They're
correct.
going to have receipts or invoices.
Right.
So essentially, that's the contract. I think you're going to need a quote or something like that to be approved so that you can see what the materials are that you're going to buy. The labor is going to be in-house, so it's not a procurement issue. But the materials are out of house, and you're going to have to authorize that under your charter.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because based on the amount of square footage and the amount of the product cost per square foot is how it was calculated, right? And so okay,
there might be multiple suppliers of that, so you need quotes.
Nobody, Mr. We're only talking about $1,200. Nobody has the time, especially myself, and I've already done the research to run around. I mean, if they want to sit there and do it, that's fine. But this is how things get bogged down. We're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars, which I would concede that you would really need to do. But if we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we utilize this needed space, that's kind of like putting, we've already continue to drag this thing out this far based on, it's not the commission's fault, it's been my fault because I haven't had the time to donate of my own personal services, but I don't have the time to go around and go to Home Depot and Lowe's and very other, what's the names. I've been in this industry. I kind of know who has what based on the quality of material, and so I did in fact looked at based on, we don't need the high end, we don't need the low end, because when you talk about the low end, you're talking about a cheaper brand of product, which typically doesn't last. And the high end is really not what we really need for this particular project. So an average, you're talking about the product about $1.69 a square foot. But at the same time, based on that, I said, well, let's give them some wiggle room to be able to. So I set it to $2 a square foot based on the square footage, and then gives them the opportunity to look around to still do that, what you're saying, but to keep bringing this back and forth to the commission. I mean, however you guys want to see it done, I mean, it's fine. I just don't really have the time to really go back and forth with it for that amount of money, for like $1,200 or so. So, and unfortunately, it just goes just above what Miss Barber was authorized to spend. Otherwise, we wouldn't even need to have this conversation. Miss Barber could just authorize it based on its being in the budget, and we could move on. But I yield back.
Well, I think if it was below the threshold that allowed the manager to go buy it, she still has to get a quote or receipt so that she knows what she's buying and what price. Let's not forget, you're a public entity. You're accountable to the taxpayer, and you have a charter you have to operate under. And before you, even though it's $1 over the threshold, you still have to do some due diligence and abide by the charter with competitive procurement. And that would be required in this situation to bring a quote or an advertisement or a flyer from a store to show what the materials are that you wish to buy and the price that you wish to purchase them at. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience, and I do hate to make a mountain out of a molehill, but you know, you're a public entity and the rules are rules, and you have to comply with the law because you're spending not your own money, you're spending the taxpayers' dollars.
Right, and I yield back. I mean, you know, whatever it is you guys want to do, I mean, you know, it's fine with me, you know, so it's not.
Can I
it's not
ask
holding
a
me up.
question? What's the threshold for requiring this competitive bidding or pricing or whatever? What's the threshold for that? Because I'm sure that they don't go out and do that whenever we get office supplies.
Right.
Exactly.
Consumables, small little items below $1,000 are purchases that are authorized for the town manager to do that, for staff to do that. But I believe the ordinance says she's still required to go out and get, you know, a quote or 3 quotes in order to ensure that she's buying light bulbs or toilet paper at, you know, a reasonable cost. Now for the.
What ordinance number is that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Not for that
I-
kind of stuff, Mr. Best.
I don't have it at my fingertips. I have 6 municipal clients. I don't memorize ordinance numbers, but I'm sure we can get it pretty readily.
Well, here's what I recall, because to be honest with you, that you would never be able to get anything done like based on hacks, Miss Barbara, to go around and get what's the name for light bulbs. And I know you're being what's the name when you say that, but it's the reality, right? You know, at the same time. So what I recall is the requirement is based on the competitive requirement, and I think they raised, the commission authorized the raising of that where you don't have to do that. Based on, and I don't, it moved from
3,000 up to
to 5,000,
5,000.
10,000. I know it wasn't 10,000 because Brentwood's 10,000, but I think it moved to like 5,000. So that's when it's required. It's always, you know, probably good to have what's it, but it wasn't a part of that. As I recall, that was a part of the competitive bidding requirement. But I mean, I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't really want to kind of, you know, mince, you know, fight over something that's not my.
What money? What amount of money are we talking about here, Demetrius?
You're talking about, okay, so the trim, it's broken down in different, the $2,500, it's broken down into various material items. And
So, but the total is 2,500?
that's correct. That's correct. It's not.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at the procurement chapter of our ordinances, and it talks about procurements of $3,000 or more. So, you know, just off the top of my head, that sounds like anything under 3,000 would not require competitive steel bidding or steel bid, et cetera, or competitive
not
steel
right.
proposal. It says procurements of 3,000 or more, competitive steel bidding or steel bid, competitive steel proposal.
What it
Procurements
says,
but procurements between 3,000 and 1,000. Let me see what that says.
there you go.
Not coming up for some reason.
I'll tell you what it says for 3 to 1,000. It says, except as may be provided under 14-8 section, procurements under this section require, insofar as it is practical, a minimum of 3 quotes or proposals that may include offers based on advertising materials available to the public. If such quote or proposal is oral, a written record of the offer shall be made with the date and the details to be maintained with the procurement record. All
But there's an
procurement screen,
exception to that, right?
Well, yeah,
the except,
right. And so, except,
the
we can,
exception is you can waive
we can waive it.
competitive bidding
So we can
requirements.
waive that. We can waive that for this,
Yes.
Yes,
for
and
the
so here,
reasons that Commissioner Givens has spelled out. I think we can waive that, and if we need to do that officially, I think we should right now.
yeah, Commissioner Givens, and so, I, I would say that one of the reasons why we kind of need to move on from this is because we can, like I said, we continue to push things further down, and I got other things to do as well. So my time frame may not even line up with in the future, and they really need someone to be able to help them through it. So while we have the opportunity to get these things done, I think it's important so that we can get these spaces utilized by those persons that are coming in to use these spaces. Again, if it were a lot of money, I would, tend to caution on the side of what's the name, but I do understand the technicality Mr. Best is bringing forth. And I would still, if you went out and got 3 what's the names, I'm still not gonna go with the Home Depot product, only because that's just not a quality product. That's a box store product. I utilize commercial materials based on longevity and use of those products by industry, standards. And so, and you don't always get that out of Home Depot products and stuff like that. And so, but, and then you could go through different millimeters and different products, and it just gets to be too technical. And so, but I yield back to say, I do hear what you're saying, Mr. Best, and for future references, when it does do that, I will try to make a note to make sure that we have all of that readily available in the future, so that we don't kind of get bogged down with this and spend too much time on it as a commission. So I yield back.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens and Mr. Best. Commissioner Young, do you want to make the motion to waive the process
Okay.
for this particular one?
I'll make a motion that we waive any requirements for competitive bidding in order for Commissioner Givens and Public Works Director Pinckney to get materials to work on the Public Works building. Is that enough?
Yes. Is there a second?
Commissioner Givens, I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Commissioner Givens,
Aye.
Aye.
Yuri,
Aye.
aye.
Okay, motion passes to waive.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Givens, do you want to
Yeah, so-
reiterate your motion?
Yes, thank you. So I make a motion that we authorize the combined total budgetary spending of, am I allowed to do it that way, Mr. Best, or do I have to just give the flooring and then let the department head purchase the remainder of the products? Because they don't total that amount. That was the more than, that was the only product that material costs that exceeded the $1,000.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I had to step away for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, do I need to make the motion as a full budgetary amount of 2,500, or do I just need to make the motion based on the flooring aspect, which is the only amount that exceeded the $1,000 threshold for authorized spending for the department head?
I would just include in your motion everything that you need to do this project in
Okay.
that Public Works building.
Okay, thank you. So I make a motion that we authorize Public Works to spend the budgetary amount up to $2,500 on materials associated with the completion of his office to include flooring, painting, trim work, and minor materials associated to get the job completed.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second Commissioner Yuri.
Thank you, Commissioner. All in favor, say aye.
Commissioner Givens, aye.
Yuri,
Aye.
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 Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes.
I just want to say one more thing, just real quick. I want to say that we have been making strides every chance we get to be able to utilize secondhand materials, donated materials. There are materials that are within this project, throughout this project, that have been a part of that. We haven't just run out and just going on a spending spree because we have the money. We do take those matters into consideration. Some of the windows were have been donated. The door, and some of the furniture that will go in there will be things that will be secondhand and so on and so forth. So I just want the commission to know, while it will be a nice office, it won't be no ragtag looking place, because I don't want that for our employees as well as what the town is trying to present. But we do want to make sure that we look at those secondary options as well, and those utilize those resources. So thank you all. I yield back.
Thank you. Moving on, police department, Chief, you ready for do the speed camera?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I went ahead and spoke to four vendors in reference to the speed camera. I've narrowed it down to three. The three that I had was Gatso, Red Speed, and OptoTraffic. After reviewing their proposals to us in reference to how they want to be paid up front, or how we will receive our citations on portion of the citations back to our revenue line items. And also in reference to the technology that has been put into the program, the new camera systems and the lane verification of functions. I believe that Red Speed will be our best option, especially in reference to ensuring that we don't put too much money out front for this program. Red Speed has a program right now that there's no upfront fees for the use of the system. What they do is they actually bill us the service they provide for each citation that's issued. So what they would do is take off their fees before they enter a deposit into our accounts. I did do a table that's I pulled from the state, Maryland State, in reference to the vendors turned in every year, in reference to how they do the percentage for the revenue. And as you see, Red Speed, we receive more money back from Red Speed than the other vendors in reference to the way they collect their fees and the way they will distribute our funds back to us with no upfront fees. Right now, the two other vendors, Gatso and OptoTraffic, they want us to pay a monthly fee up front, regardless if we have enough violators to come through our speed camera or not. We still have to pay that monthly fee. And sometimes at the end of the year, it shows that our percentage that we get back in reference to the tickets, the paid citations are a lot lesser in reference to the percentage we would get by going with Red Speed. Red Speed has been out in the community for over 20 years. We have a couple of municipalities that have them. I spoke to District Heights in reference to Red Speed. They are pleased with it. Right now, Mount Rainier is looking into going to Red Speeds away from Gasto, as well as Forest Heights. They're thinking about going to Red Speed. So my suggestion is to move toward Red Speed. I did get a contract from Red Speed that I sent over to Mr. Best. I know Mr. Best is not finished going through it yet, but I'm trying to see if possible we can vote tonight to actually move forward to look at going into a contract with Red Speed. And if y'all have any questions for me right now, I'm ready to answer your questions.
Sounds good to me.
Commissioner Givens, I don't have any questions. I was able to speak with the chief and he explained everything just as he's done here. And I'm fine with it. The important thing is that we have someone that's going through it thoroughly and looking out for our bottom line as a town. And so I can appreciate his due diligence in this matter. I yield back.
Commissioner Givens, you're breaking up. We didn't hear that last part.
No, I was just saying I appreciate his due diligence in regards to looking at making sure our bottom line is the most profitable for the town. So I yield back.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or discussion?
Had a chance to, this is Commissioner Yuri, I had a chance to talk to the chief also, and it does sound like it's a good thing for us.
Thank you. So if there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
Don't you have to have the Red Speed contract or something like that? Or some documentation from the company in order to be able to make the motion in regards to this?
Yes, we do have the proposed contract. Mr. Best is reviewing it. He told me that he cannot get to it per this meeting, but I'm just trying to see if possible that after he reviews it and everything is okay, can we move forward in trying to get them to start doing the surveys and the surveys and assessments. And right now, I know for a fact that in the contract, it pretty much says that, you know, the fees, there's no upfront fees at all in reference to this proposal they gave us. We pay per ticket.
So in regards to this, wouldn't it be prudent, Mr. Best, that we do waive the competitive bidding requirement? Because it sounds like there's a lot of intricacies that that may come into play in regards to the different vendors, you know, because it's not necessarily apples to apples, you know, for the pricing because of the way that the pricing is structured. So I yield back.
Yes, to answer your question, yes, it would be not only a good idea, but required to waive the competitive bidding requirement. I do not know, however, I believe you all awarded and approved GATSO, Census GATSO, to tender a contract. I don't know whether you put it in the record that, you know, you've decided to go with a new vendor. You can certainly do that now. And while I have the floor, I will say that if you do approve the contract, which is embedded in the proposal, as you see on your agenda, and you can bring it up and look at it right now, obviously, but I'd recommend that you conditionally approve the contract, pending review for legal sufficiency and propriety by the town attorney. I yield. Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Best?
I yield.
And for clarification, Mr. Best, we did not approve GATSO's proposal. We did receive the proposal, but what we approved was the ordinance for us to have a speed camera. So that was passed. In reference to GATSO's proposal, we held on to that because I started getting complaints in reference to they're not collecting aggressively in reference to outstanding violations. So that's why we went here and opened it back up and started talking to other vendors. So we
Have you reached out to GATSO?
Yes.
And told them that you
Yes.
are no longer interested in
Yes.
pursuing their services?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I also spoke to them in reference to the problems with collections. So they tried to give me some options, and still the options could not compare to what Red Speed can give us.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Barber, can you go to page 118? That's where the contract starts in the proposal. If you could bring that up on the screen, please. Thank you. So again, Chief, you're asking, and as Mr. Best has recommended, that we go ahead and approve with the provision that, and Mr. Best, when do you think you'll be able to finish reviewing the contract?
I received it a little over a day ago. And it's
Mhm.
like a 30, 40-page contract. So
Mhm.
I need several days. You know, lawyers just don't speed read this stuff. You read it very carefully and analyze it to make sure it's legally sufficient. I also have experience working with numerous vendors for speed cameras. And if I see something substantive that I think's awry, I'll point it out to you. I doubt that I will, though. I've heard a lot of good things about Red Speed. Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So again, your recommendation, and Chief is asking that we tentatively approve this with the provision that Mr. Best reviews it before we sign off on the contract. Is that correct, Chief?
That's correct, ma'am.
Well, I think Kevin said that we could go ahead and approve it pending review by council, so that it would go in effect unless Kevin finds a problem that we need to address. Does that make sense, Kevin?
Yes, Madam Commissioner, but I want to point out to the chief that there should be no talk with Red Speed as if there's any type of contractual relationship until it's approved for legal sufficiency. There shouldn't be any performance or work under the contract performed pending, the final condition that makes it a binding contract and would allow the chair to sign it.
I agree, sir. I understand. Yes, sir.
So
I was saying in reference to after your review and we sign it before next month, we can start working on it once we get approved and signed.
Yes, that should be doable. I just need a few more. One or 2 days is not enough. I need several days.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just didn't want to move over to next month. No,
Okay.
next month meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, as I said before, and Commissioner Young repeated, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not, or you're not understanding what I'm saying, but just seems like we're repeating stuff over and over. So is there a motion to tentatively, again, with the understanding that this contract will be reviewed by our attorney
Okay.
prior to
Hold
the
on.
chair signing?
Hold on, Wanda, before we get there. Before you get to that you have to waive the bidding requirements before you get to that aspect, so that you can do that secondary aspect.
I assume that would be done in one motion, but proceed as you wish.
Okay.
I'll start over. So again, Chief is asking and Mr. Best is recommending that we waive the bidding process for this particular contract for the speed cameras. Is there a motion to tentatively agree to this contract with Red Speed prior to the chair signing off with the review of the town attorney, Mr. Best?
So moved.
I'll make a motion. I move that we waive competitive bidding and approve the contract with Red Speed pending approval by our attorney. I think that covers it. Anything else, Kevin?
Well, actually, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Givens beat you to it and said so moved. So if you would like to
Oh, okay.
second that, that'd be great.
Fine, I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Givens, aye. Givens, aye.
Very aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, Chief, you have something else for us tonight?
No, just a few things real quick in reference to the donations for gifts. We are still accepting donations for Christmas gifts for our youth in our town. We will be going out with Santa Claus on December 18th, 12 noon to 2. We're doing the whole town once again, driving around, passing out toys to ages 12 and below. We are working on food donations to actually give food out to needed families during the holiday season. We picked up 25 chickens and boxes of food this evening from the sheriff's department. Before the end of the month, I say around the 20th, we're supposed to be receiving some more shipments of turkeys from the Carpenters Union. So we'll be passing out all the food on the 21st of December to those families that have signed up for it and that need food for for Christmas holiday. We also closed out our training for this year. All our officers have finished a mandatory training. We went to the range. We got all our officers certified for all their weapons that they are carrying. And we're ready to move into the next fiscal year with everybody passing all their requirements. We also have that's all I have right now that I need to report on. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. So who's doing code enforcement? The request to hire the code
Oh yeah,
enforcement
I was
officer?
gonna talk about that. I thought it was gonna be a separate one for that one, but I take that right now.
Well, it's all under your name. It's under the police department. So that, and the server upgrade is under the police department too.
Okay.
Are you
okay.
doing both of those?
Yeah, I have to do both of those. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, reference to code enforcement. We have a gentleman that we interviewed last month. His resume was sent to all the commissioners last night. He had a meeting with the council over there in Como Manor. When I spoke to Chief Stone this afternoon, their council has approved for him to move forward after our approval to move forward with the background investigation. So right now I'm asking for the commission to give us permission to go ahead and move forward and allow me to do the background investigation on the gentleman. He did an excellent job in reference to the interview that I had with him. He's very mature. He has a lot of experience. He has a lot of resources that he can bring to the table. He's very knowledgeable on programs that are out there that we can try to look for a good program to actually log in our violations and track our violations on a timely manner. And I think he'd be an asset to the town. So right now I'm trying to move forward if possible. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I had his resume up.
James Redding.
Yeah, Mr. Redding. Mr. Redding is who we would propose to be our candidate moving forward for the position of code enforcement. I'm asking for the commission to vote to give me permission to start the process of hiring him.
Thank you, Chief. I attended Como Manor's meeting last night and so did Commissioner Young. We both were impressed with the young man's presentation and his interview with the council at Como Manor. I support the chief's recommendation. And I think we should go ahead and move forward. I don't know how you other commissioners feel. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the young man's resume, but I believe me and Commissioner Young are on the same page. Is that not correct, Commissioner Young?
Yeah, he seemed pretty good. So yeah, I would go along with approving him.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Best.
It strikes me that an appointment of a code enforcement officer, I believe, has to be done by written resolution. Chief, can you correct me on that? I'm gonna look real quick, but
No, sir, he's not a sworn officer He does go to court, but he's not sworn on an oath.
He should be. He's exercising a part of the sovereign power of the town, so he should be sworn in.
Well, if he's sworn in, then yes, we have to do an order.
Not an ordinance, it'd be,
Okay.
I think, a
A
resolution.
resolution, I'm sorry, no, a resolution.
Well, then it's premature to finalize an appointment at this point, if that's the case, but I'm still looking for the code provision.
I don't think that's what, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's what the chief was asking to really do right now. He just wanted to kind of get, even though he interviewed with Comar Manor, he was asking if he can move along with the background aspect, so that, and I guess I'd assume that the approval for hire would be later on. Typically, I'd want to interview with the employee, but seeing as if under the conditions that Commissioner Wheatley and Young have interviewed and they're impressed, at whichever juncture we come to for that, I probably will waive my right to do so. So I yield back and would like to see the background aspect of it move forward prior to official approval.
Well, what I heard was that the chief wanted to hire him, give him a notice of hiring.
No, sir, the background investigation, we can't hire him until we do background investigation. So I'm asking permission to move forward and spending money to do the background investigation. And like I said, if we have to, we can get the resolution put together and do a special meeting later, later date. But I'd like to see if possible, I can start moving forward and trying to do the background investigation at this meeting.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I will state that section 11-8 of the town code requires the code enforcement officer to be approved, the appointment of the code enforcement officer to be approved by ordinance or written resolution. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Best. So are we in agreement to give chief approval to do the background investigation on Mr. Is it Redding? Is his last name Redding?
Yes, Mr. Redding.
I would
Billings, I'm
go
gonna say
along with
this.
approving that.
Is there a second?
I second
Second.
Commissioner Yuri.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Yuri, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Chief, you have approval to do the background check on Mr. Redding?
And can I get permission to do a special meeting probably within a week or two with a resolution to actually move forward with hiring before the beginning of the year? Is that possible?
I don't think we need
Yeah,
We don't need a vote for that. I think we
Yeah.
just, the chair can call for a meeting.
yeah, we can do that, chief.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. All right, you want to do the server next?
Yes. We'll pull the quote up real quick. We've been having a lot of problems inside the town hall in reference to our service. It's moving kind of slow. We spoke to Peak a couple months ago, and they told us that pretty much they had to rebuild our server or replace it altogether. Right now, we want to move forward and try to replace it instead of repairing it, due to the fact that security problems we have with software and everything like that. We think it's best for us to go with a brand new unit. Right now, we have a lot of towns throughout the country that are getting hacked through their servers. And we want to make sure that we have a brand new server that has updated software and that can move us toward the future, not having to keep on repairing and replacing. So right now, we are looking to move forward and see if I can vote tonight to actually give us permission to go ahead and go with Peak to actually go ahead and purchase the software. The reason why we don't have the bid, Peak is hired by us. to do our service and buy products for us, dealing with our software and our computers. So we don't have to move into another contract with them. We already have one with them. And we just trying to see if possible, you allow us to go ahead and start moving forward to actually replace our server.
Chief, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the server the big machine that's in Miss Barber's office?
Yes, ma'am.
that- So they're gonna replace that whole machine?
No, well, there's a lot of wiring in there, but it's gonna be some new wiring and a server. The server is not that big. It's the point where you have a lot of other things connected to it. But yes, they're gonna give us new wiring and a new server.
Is there any way they can move it out of that room, out of her office to another location? Or make it
Oh.
smaller? Cause it's really big and bulky and I'm
Well, that's something that I
assuming
can
it gives
speak to.
off a lot of heat.
That's something we can speak to Peak about. It's the point where we're limited of space inside the town hall.
Mhm.
But like I said, we probably can move it back in that room, back there where the code enforcement and the new grant writer is going to be, grant manager. I don't know. We still have any space, that much space in the
I know, but it's whoever office it goes in to me, it's just gonna be an inconvenience. I don't know how Ms. Barber or Mr. Mosley or Galloway, whoever was the town manager at the time, I don't know how they stayed in that room with that big bulky thing. Okay. Any questions in regards to the new server for the chief?
Yeah, we need to know how much it's gonna cost.
Well, looking at this proposal, is it 12,000?
12,564.87, and then you have a recurring expense for your server. You have server your cloud space, and that's on here. Recurring fee is $158 yearly. That's for cloud space.
Right.
So are we backed up on the cloud now or not? I mean, I'm trying to ascertain, like it. I understand we would still need the server, correct?
You need server and you need cloud space because we'll start, being paperless.
Okay.
Do you need us to make a decision tonight, or do you just want us to process this information that you've given us?
Well, like I said, it's the point where we're trying to move to try to get this replacement for the beginning of the year because everything's moving slow right now. They cannot repair it. They have to be, but they can repair it. They're going to bill us. So we're not trying to acquire any more additional billing to get us through this year. So my suggestion is possible for us to go ahead and try to get a new unit. Or we might have a problem next week where we have to go ahead and do some repairs to get us through the year.
So it's that bad?
Yes.
So again, we would have to, so we looking at, in this regard, 12,000 is a lot of money. So do you look at other options?
It can come out of ARPA funds.
I know, I'm not talking about where the money's coming from. I'm talking about the process, right? Like the requirements, the bidding process. Should we look at the cost of other vendors for the same type of service for the, what's the name? Or do we waive the bidding requirement based on the situation of the fact that we're already in the contract with Peak and they're the ones who continue to maintain it and so on and so forth. So that's something that I think we probably would want to get some type of hear from you and as well as Mr. Best in regards to this matter.
Also, does Ms. Barber agree with that this is the one to go with, best one?
You know, Yeah, so I had brought to you all back at the budget time some consideration for a new server. And then we pulled that idea. I would venture that if I were going to be here longer, that I would get additional quotes just because peak is sometimes kind of high. And I think when I talk with the other vendors, they were not as high as peak was. But what that would essentially do is that would mean that you would be changing your IT provider from peak to another firm. And I'm not sure if you all want to do that sort of mid-year or at the beginning of the year, or how you want to handle that, because it's not just about buying a new server. It's really about who services the server and services you as an IT provider.
How has Peak been as in providing those services?
Peak has been fine. They've been responsive. They have worked with us on a number of different issues. There are other firms out there that come more highly recommended than Peak. And those were the ones that, you know, we had talked with about going with a different server with, but then we pulled it because the price was kind of high. And you know, things seem to be going fine with Peak at the time. And not that anything has changed with Peak. I mean, Peak is still good. They still provide us good service.
Ms. Barber, have you had someone come out to identify what exactly the issue is? Because it may be likely that you don't need a whole new server.
No, the server is at least, I think it's at least 5 years old, and everyone that I talked to, and I did have people come out, you know, like I said, this was before we finalized the budget, and they all recommend that we get a new server because of the age of the server.
What is it? It's just the age. I mean, because when it comes to technology, it's not necessarily just age that causes it to time out. I mean, they say the same thing about my computer. My computer is 5 years old and it still functions as long as I, you know, keep it up and, you know, keep my memory cleared or whatever the case is. So it's not just like aging technology. I mean, I'm sure, to me, $12,000 is exorbitant. I'm pretty sure that you can find it for cheaper than that. I mean,
well, as I said, I would recommend that you get additional pricing, but that's up to you all.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. We can go ahead and start doing send a RFP out and have bidding for a new vendor for our services as well as a server.
and also, can you please, and this is my personal curiosity, because I'm kind of into computers, I guess, and maybe I can offer my assistance, but if you could actually have the tech let me know what exactly the issue is, because just an aging server is not very specific. If I can know what the actual issue is, it may be a quicker fix, because sometimes these organizations, they'll tell you need a new server because they want the business, and they're not going to tell you specifically if there's another issue that can be a quick fix. So if you could get back with me and let me know, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for the chief in regards to the server? Okay, hearing no further discussion, I will move on. So before we get to the reports, there's one piece of business that we do need to take care of. Regrettably, our town manager, Ms. Barber, has turned in her resignation. We really do hate to see her leave, but of course we cannot stop her. But at the same time, we also need to accept her resignation. I believe. Is that not correct, Mr. Best?
That is correct.
All righty. So I believe, Ms. Barber, your last day is December 22nd.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we need to accept Ms. Barber's resignation effective December 22nd, 2021. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second. With regret, we're gonna miss you, Consuela, and I hate to see you leave, but I understand you're wanting to move forward with your career. So I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Givens, aye.
Yuri,
Givens, aye.
aye.
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. So Ms. Barber, your resignation has been accepted. This is officially your last meeting with us and for the town. And again, as it's been stated, we are going to miss you. Thank you so much for your service. We wish you all the best in your new employment and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, so now let's get back to our agenda. Ward 1, Commissioner Young, do you have anything to report out?
No, not really. The only thing I was going to tell you about was the thing with Senator Cardin's office, and I sent an email earlier to everyone with the document that was attached and also the names of the two contacts in his office. So again, sorry to see you go, Consuela. Thank you for your service.
Ward 2, Commissioner Armache, anything to report out?
No. No, just I also want to add that we've enjoyed working with you, Ms. Barber, and we're definitely going to miss you. We're glad that you are, as I second what Ann said. Thank you.
Thank you. So Ward 3, I do have a few things to report out. So just a reminder that this coming Saturday, December the 11th, from 12 to 4 p.m., we will be doing our second vaccine clinic at the North Brentwood Community Center. The first one was a very big success. We were able to vaccinate over 100 individuals. There were many children that came in to receive the vaccine, so it was a big success. And again, we'll be doing the second part this Saturday from 12 to 4. And I also want to report out that on November 22nd, myself and Sergeant Hayes delivered the school supplies to the teachers at Roger Heights and William Wirt. And I must say that they were very appreciative of the supplies that they received. We also received a certificate, I believe, from William Wirt, or maybe it was Roger Heights. I believe it was Roger Heights, thanking us for our donations, and they were very pleased. And so I want to thank everyone for their support. It was a good thing to do for the community, for our school teachers, because they do need the help. And I really want to say that it's something I look forward to doing again. I would like to try to do it on an annual basis. So if anyone wants to help out the next go round, I'd love to have your help. And I believe that's it for me. Ward 4, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Givens, anything to to report out?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you, Ms. Barbara, and congratulations and good luck in moving forward. We all knew from the onset when we hired you that this was an opportunity for you to get your feet wet as a town manager, and I hope that while it's been challenging, I'd hope that you seeing some of those challenges as an opportunity to be able to be better prepared and the new bigger job that you have coming up with the town of Glenarden. So congratulations and thank you.
At large, Commissioner Yuri, anything to report out?
I just have a couple of questions. Ms. Barber?
Yes, ma'am.
I sent you a Public Works issue a couple of weeks ago. I just wanted a quick follow-up on that. If you had a chance to, or if anyone's had a chance to go to the property.
Public Works issue or a code enforcement issue?
I'm sorry, code enforcement, yes.
Yes, so I forwarded that over to the chief of police. And
Okay.
I'll follow up with the chief and make sure that, I think he did go by and take a look at the property. But we'll follow up again and make sure we get back in touch with you about it.
Okay.
It was the
thank you so much.
Bladensburg, it was the Bladensburg property, correct?
Yes.
That's correct. I did go out to that location. I'm still trying to get in contact with the owner. Every time we go there, no one answers the door. I know they were renting the property out, but yes, it is a problem with open storage and trash and debris in the back, inside the fence. So we will take care of it.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
And the second is, I think a couple of meetings ago, maybe in the October meeting, we discussed that little area close to the community garden where it slopes down. And we were going to kind of continue discussion on that. I was just wondering if maybe you had the chance to talk to Parks and Recreation to determine, I think we were wondering what our boundary was or what could actually be done with that area, if there was any follow-up on that.
Are you talking about the area that the young lady said that she had talked to Parks and Recreation about doing a jobs program?
Yeah, she kind of briefly proposed it, but nothing was kind of settled on that.
Right, yeah, there's been some change of staff. I think Jordan left Parks and Rec. And so the only contact I have is Laura. And I haven't been able to touch base with her on that yet, but I'll try and touch base with her on that before I leave.
Thank you so much. Yes, that can go into the list of things just to kind of get a little final word on. And again, like everyone else, you will be missed and we've appreciated your contribution here. Thank you so much.
So before we adjourn, I'll just open it up to the public one more time. Are there any public comments at this time? Before we adjourn? Hearing no further comments, we are at the end of our agenda tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Gibbons,
Aye.
Aye.
Yuri, aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Hang in